Hey everyone, I want to welcome you to the AI versus HI podcast. I'm Adrian Kesey with 1289 Creative, and I'm here with Tim Gilson from the Gilson Home Group. I think the idea of this podcast is really just to kind of talk about the prevalence of AI in the real estate industry and the pros and cons, and also maybe some of the areas where you still need that human touch. Tim, is there anything you want to add before we dive right in?
Yeah, no, it's I'm really glad to be here. First of all, you do great work, Adrian.
Thank you.
And the thing that I really, when we started to talk about this, we thought, you know what? There's so much artificial intelligence in every aspect of our lives. I'm such a verbal person, and I'm always talking, and my kids laugh at me because I'm always talking to people. I said, what about that human element? And that's really what when we started to talk about. Let's take a step back and take a look at when do we really need that human intelligence, the HI, and not just the AI. It's kind of a fine balance. How do we use the AI and really use it to build on the HI that we use every single day?
Yeah, absolutely. And Tim, you have extensive experience in real estate. You have a great team. Tell us a little bit about the team.
Yeah, so our team is located here in Southeast Michigan. We have 4 brokers who work together, all really focused on the needs and wants and the desires of our client base. And the bulk of our business, creeping up on 90%, is from past client referrals, our sphere of influence, people who are introducing us from various lenders and title companies and wherever. So we get pulled into a lot of different transactions that are sometimes a little bit tricky, and we help families to navigate that. So I'm really proud of the fact that we're serving all of Southeast Michigan, but we're all 4 of us have taken this trade so seriously that we've all become brokers, which is kind of it's a deal, it's a thing. So, yeah.
And I'm excited to have this conversation with you because, like I said, you've got a lot of experience. I think you understand people on a human level. So shall we dive right in?
Let's do it.
Because the first thing I can think of right off the bat, I mean, AI, you've probably seen it for analytics and pulling numbers and projections and data. It doesn't have emotion. It can't make emotional decisions, right? It can't ever do the wrong thing for the right reason. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, first of all, yes. And the other thing is it can't be held accountable either.
Yeah.
So if it creates some really great information or gives you some feedback based on an inquiry, if that's not 100% correct or serves you improperly, it can't be held accountable.
Right.
So that's the biggest thing. And when we're seeing it deployed, we're seeing it deployed not just in the real estate professionals side, but we see so many clients working with AI in ways that I would not have imagined 2 years ago to figure out whether this particular investment opportunity or this particular residence is correct for their family. They're diving into floor plans, they're diving into design elements, value analysis, projections for future values, school districts, all these kinds of things, and getting really a lot of information back. And sometimes it's like, wow, I would not have thought about that as a way to use AI.
Right. Yeah. And I think too, I mean, you've told me about countless situations where you ask someone, like, hey, do you really want this? I think we should go in a little bit over, or we should do this or that. And those are like, say, breaking the rules, right? But solving a need. And I think that's what I mean by like the emotional part of it.
Yeah.
It just knows the best way on paper mathematically to do things. And sometimes that's not the realistic way. So
emotions are a big deal. In fact, we say that at decision time, all of the price per square foot and the school district's designations and all these kind of things, that all goes out the window. And it's pure emotion. It's an emotional response. So one of the things that we're always looking at is what is the emotional connection and attachment that a prospective buyer has.
Yeah.
And in many cases, what the emotional attention is that a seller has to a particular property, because that can swing the decision on whether to buy or sell a property immensely.
Yeah.
We see people, the emotional response that we read often is, oh my God, I grew up in a home that had that exact cabinet, or I had that exact floor, or we had that exact tree out in the yard.
Right.
Or when they're buying a home, and that can create added value for a very specific buyer. But on the sell side, and we have had this happen like within the last week, the offer that was received on a property that we have listed, the prospective buyer for that property expressed an interest in doing something that really spoke to the heart of the sellers. And they did something to accept that offer that they might not have done otherwise. So yeah, the statistics and the numbers and the math and the numerical certainties kind of all goes out the window at decision time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great example where human intelligence is needed, or at least needed to complement, some of the direction everything's going. So,
Yeah. And every buyer, remember, when you're working with buyers, every buyer assigns a different value to a property.
Right.
If your sister lives next door to the house that is available, guess
Yeah.
what? The value and the utility to that buyer goes way up, and the emotions that get involved. So there's no AI could never really assign a value to that.
Right.
It's, what do you want to do? How much
Right.
do you love it? What's it worth to you? If we got to fight for it, we got to throw everything at it.
yeah.
That's what we do.
And that's not to say that like any human is going to trump AI, right? But somebody who wants to understand you and your needs at that level, I think, can outperform AI in that kind of situation.
Yeah, we need to understand what's really driving your decisions. And that's kind of a hard thing for AI to dive into.
Absolutely.
Yeah.